The media discusses emergency funds. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian here, and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. Grab your stein of coffee because we have to look at this article. An actual article in the media discussing emergency funds. Now I know it's not ABC, it is Yahoo Finance, but it's still very good that this concept is getting out there. Because how many times have we seen article after article blaming others for people's problems rather than, well, suggesting people take responsibility for their own lives and their own finances. Now, I know that's not politically correct. It's always someone else's problem these days, especially in Australia. But I think this is a good step forward because, frankly, most people could and would step up and take control. It's much less stress when you have an emergency fund. So let's have a look what Eliza's written here. Aussies stockpile 40 grand to weather the storm. How you can as well, or how you can too, which is true. I mean, money was flowing like anything during the lockdowns. People didn't have to go out. They didn't have to spend money. And honestly, I think a lot of habits have changed. I think people realized, well, we're seeing quiet quitting. People realize working themselves to death for a job just, frankly, isn't worth it. And, well, the sad reality is people haven't set expectations in jobs. They probably need to shift careers or shift jobs and work environments where you can. Well, just set boundaries at the beginning. So let's have a look. Aussies are madly saving money to stave off the rising cost of living, according to new research by Finder. The average Australian has $39,439 in savings in August, according to Finder's consumer sentiment tracker. So, I mean, if you got 40 grand in savings, that should be, for most people, a decent emergency fund. The rule is 6 months of all of your expenses. Now, you've got to understand when you have a decent emergency fund, you're not going to get any Centrelink. They're not going to give it to you. They're going to expect you to burn through your emergency fund first, which is the point. You just got to realize it. That's what it's there for. So, that's a 75% increase from 6 months earlier. So, people are getting worried. It's up from 22,565 in March, and a record high since Finder began tracking in 2019. Now, you've got to understand, there's a big difference in people here in Australia, in people's earning. I'm going to bring up this this economic chart here, showing you just the differences in wage earnings and household income. Australia is, well, it's a divided society. There are going to be people on high incomes that have significant money that can build a decent emergency fund pretty easily, that don't even have to worry about day to day, but they still have control of their finances, and even if they reach housing stress, paying over 30% of housing costs, it's not going to affect them. It's going to be the lowest income people, the people really scraping the bottom of the barrel trying to get through, or middle income people who are, well, over leveraged with their housing expenses, and people who are just worried, or cheap bastards, or people doing the FIRE movement who won't spend a cent and just save. The amount of savings Aussies have stashed away has been trending up for 4 successive cash rate rises from the RBA. Money expert at Finder, Sarah Megginson, said cash was king in a downturn. Australians are drastically increasing how much cash they've stashed to offset the spiralling costs of living. And we have seen the fact that 7-Eleven coffee is going up, guys. So it's getting bad now. Consumers are concerned that the high level of inflation and increasing interest rates will leave them vulnerable, and where possible, they're stockpiling cash to weather the storm. I mean, there's the... Oh, look at this. They've got a chart here with interest rates going up. You can see we only know an environment pretty much with interest rates going down. The last recession we had was forever ago. I was a child in the last recession. How many people have worked and only know good times? Research found men had much bigger cash reserves than women. The average woman had 26,000 in August compared to 52,786 for men. Well, there you go. I'm not surprised with that. And I mean, here's the thing. In the sexual market, men have to prove their worth and build wealth and demonstrate they're a provider. So that's an evolutionary response there, everyone. There's nothing unusual with it. Megginson said boosting savings was a good goal to strive towards. Save a little is better than saving nothing. The habit of saving is most important for all, she said. Yes, I completely agree with that. And I mean, you need to look at, you can have your money in cash, you can get interest rates. What you need to look at is your risk profile, what you want to invest in, how you want to save. If you want to hoard it in cash because you want an emergency fund, that's what the cash is for. That's an emergency fund that you need to draw upon in an emergency situation. Any interest you earn there is a bonus. Okay, but then if you want to save, you want to invest some of it. You're looking at different shares, you're looking at ETFs, you're looking at something that can generate you a dividend income. Do you want to buy gold or precious metals or silver? But then you got it sitting there, there's a big spread on it and it doesn't earn you any money. Or you're going into crypto, which is very brave at the moment. So now is a great time to have excess cash in the bank with high interest savings accounts offering rates of more than 3.1% a year. And term deposits even higher. High interest. High 3.1% is considered high interest. I need to have some coffee for that one. What a world. We really are in clown world, guys. It's clown world. 3% is high interest. While the RBA lifting the cash rate to 1.85% is bad news for borrowers, it's good news for savers. Binder research shows the average Aussie could afford to live off their savings for 19 weeks if they lost their job today, up from 14 weeks in March. Okay, how to start an emergency fund. How to start an emergency. Look at this, an article in the news discussing emergency funds. Isn't this awesome? This is fantastic. This is what we need. There needs to be discussion of this. Next time ABC does some sob story article about someone blaming someone else for their problems, they need to turn around. The reporter needs to ask, or the journalist needs to ask, why didn't you have an emergency fund? And they'll say, well, this is how you get one. I know we can't do that because we have to all be super nice at the ABC, don't we? So there are a few ways to get on top of your finances to start a savings fund, even if you are feeling stretched. First, start by making a budget. I don't know. I think the term budget is wrong. If you're really trying to get your shit together, you don't want to make a budget. You want to look at where your money's going. You want to get an Excel, go through your bank statements, add up how much you've spent on this subscription, on this service, on this little thing. If you're in such a state that it's just flowing out, you don't have control over it, you just need to do an audit, essentially, and see where your money is trickling out. That's even before you get a budget. And you need to see, oh, shit, I spent so much money. Even do it over a year. I spent so much money on, subscribe to this product I barely use. That's it. We're cutting that. Getting rid of that. And get really tight. Then you go through all your assets. Look at what you can sell. And that's one advantage I would suggest Apple products have over other products. There's a market for them, and they tend to hold their value a lot better than just standard, computer equipment and things like that. Sell that iPad you don't need. Sell the iPhone you don't need. Get a burner crappy phone. Really go cheap. Do whatever you can to build up your emergency fund. First you want a micro one of $1,000. That's the Dave Ramsey method. Then you start attacking your debt. Let's see what they say here. The simplest way to know what money you have coming in and what is going is using the government's Money Smart Budget Planner tool. How many of you viewers are going to jump onto the government's Money Smart Budget Planner tool to let them know where your money's coming? Come on, let me know in the comments, mate. Bloody hell. No, get a notepad and pen or even get Excel. Come on, money. Yeah, anyway. It's free to use and allows you to put everything you earn and spend. Yeah, then the ATO gets their hands on it. Once you have a good idea about where you stand right now, you can look at where you may want to make some cuts. Think about subscriptions, you don't use it regularly, or look at getting a better deal on your electricity, gas, phone, or internet. Yep, no, that's all good advice. Even if you cut your internet speed down, if you cut it in half, you slow it down, just get a saving wherever you can, you find savings. If you can find a place to make cuts, you can start putting the money aside into a long-term savings account. Put aside just 10% of your pay, it will start to add up. And here we go. I mean, look at all these big interest rates. What? 14 to 35, 20. So young guys can get 3.5 and 3.25. Isn't that discrimination? Us old codgers can't get it, but anyway. I mean, I'm getting this ING 3.1, but I got to jump through so many bloody hoops, do so many transactions, and it's just a pain in the ass. I was just thinking about that, actually. As opposed to just buying a dividend-paying ETF where I don't need to do anything and money just appears. I've got to do more work for the cash I have in my ING savings maximizer. What bullshit is that, guys? So let's have a talk about this. Now, I'm really encouraged that Eliza prepared an article here to discuss the concept of emergency funds, because it's something that needs to be discussed every day. It needs to get out there. People need to discuss it over the dinner table. It needs to be something just ingrained in the Australian culture. Prepare for the worst. We need to stop bringing these sob stories out in the media and painting doom and gloom, or even thanking, like the banks. Remember that couple we looked at years ago now? They were thanking the banks for giving them a mortgage holiday. A professional couple, two people that would have been on six figures, should have their shit together enough to have an emergency fund and not depend on the bank to keep their mortgage going. So, top-notch effort to get started here. I don't know if pointing to people towards a government app is going to really work for my viewers. You know, go download OpenOffice, run it on Linux distribution disconnected from the internet, and type your money in there if you want. I did that. I went on a whole Linux phase, guys. Oh, it's such a pain. Anyway, thanks for watching. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on this one in the comments below. Do you have an emergency fund? Where did you first hear about it? Because I'll be honest, for me, it was really only Dave Ramsey. I've heard about it. I know about having savings, but never really someone articulating it like that until I listened to Dave Ramsey a few years ago. Shit, that's concerning. Thanks for watching. Check out my other channels, HeiseBim and HeiseSays International. And if you want to support the content I discover and discuss here, there are a few ways you can. Financially via YouTube or Patreon, using our referral links, buying our merch, or calling us if you need an architect. Take care, everyone. Have a great day, and I'll see you all in the next episode of HeiseSays. Bye for now. Let's all get those emergency funds.